Yo guys, this is Skuff TV. If you didn't see last week's episode, we started a two-part series where we caught up with Hawaiian charger Sunny Garcia, and in this week, part 2, we find out what it was like for him doing time in the big house.
The whole prison thing, you know, the IRS is kind of a touchy situation because it wasn't like I wasn't trying to pay my taxes. I had hired somebody to do my bills and pay my taxes, to file and all that. My first CPA didn't do that. So the IRS came knocking on my door one day and they're like, you know, you didn't pay, you haven't filed, you haven't done anything. So I was kind of tripped out, and I hired a new CPA to kind of deal with that. And they also took a long time to get things going, and I guess what technically happened was they rushed, and you know, in that rush it was just like, you know, we're trying to do this, just sign here. And I signed all the papers, didn't bother looking because I don't know numbers, I don't know what you know, just sign. So I signed the things, and my CPA forgot to put my prize money in. So I kind of went from tax evasion to tax fraud, and the IRS really wanted to throw me in jail to make an example out of me. And basically they told me if I pleaded guilty, they would offer me 5 months in federal prison, 5 months of house arrest. Or if I pleaded innocent and I try to go to trial, they're gonna try and get me for 5 years. So it kind of made more sense to, you know, to just plead guilty, because technically, you know, we're not overseeing everything. I was wrong. The first week I got to jail, they put me in the hole. You know, it's like a holding cell, but it was dark, and I didn't know that they had this little sign that says turn the lights on and turn the lights off. So I spent the first week in the dark. I went into jail 2 days before my birthday, and it was freezing. When Gartolo actually drove me to prison, it was like 19 degrees the morning I got to jail. So I'm in prison freezing in the cell, and you know, for 2 days, the second day they come up and they're like, hey, you want to go out in the rec, which is the area, like the big yard where everybody's at. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going out in the big yard where everybody's at. I could kind of see. So I'm like, yeah, I want to go out, you know. So, you know, they put you in handcuffs. So I go shuffling out, and I get to this one place, and I'm like looking, I'm like, this don't look like the rec area. It's just this big cement wall area with like I think it was like 4 kennel looking, it looked like dog kennels, like 20 by 20 area, like fenced off in the cement place. And like open one of the things and like unhook the handcuffs, and they put me in this little 20 by 20 area, and I'm like, I thought I was going out in the rec. They're like, no, this is your rec. I'm like, seriously? They're like 15 degrees. I have this jumpsuit on. I'm like, can I go back to my cell? Because it's freezing. And can I go back to the cell? They're like, no, you got to stay out here for like an hour and a half. So I spent an hour and a half running in circles so I could try and stay warm. I couldn't feel my nose, couldn't feel my fingers. I was like, wow, this is the most up thing ever. So, you know, I was thinking, you know, so this is prison. This is pretty up. So that, you know, that was my first 3 days, and then the very next morning they come back. They're like, "You want to go to rec?" I was like, "Hell no! I'll stay right here in my nice warm cell." I think after the first month I was in there, I got to be friends with most of the guards, and then I had a couple friends that worked. They went on the out crew, and they somehow swindled me to get onto the out crew. I remember getting in the van and driving out of the prison to go to work in the town. I was freaking. I was like, wow, I get to get out. This is so cool. This town is killer. I'm in the middle of the desert, just like so stoked to be out of prison. We went to this, it was like an old fort. I went and I had to sweep up and mop up the area, and I was stoked. I had the biggest smile on my face. And then when we were done, they gave us like prime rib. Oh man, after eating prison food, I got prime rib. I was just like, I chewed on those things for so long. They just gave me one little piece. I was so stoked. So yeah, it makes you appreciate, you know, everything more. And you know, I was just, you know, I mean, not to say that prison it was bad because I had fun. I had time to think, to myself and decide what I really wanted to do. And I had, a lot of time to train. So all I did was run every day, work out, do pull-ups, push-ups, dips, push-ups with my 260-pound friend on my back. So I got to be really strong. When I got out of prison, I was pretty fit. But then, when I got on house arrest, they cut out the, I couldn't really go anywhere and couldn't really work out, and I wasn't surfing, so kind of gained some of that weight back. House arrest kind of sucks. Technically, I'd rather be in prison. It seemed like I had more freedom in prison than I do out, because you get out of prison, you expect to, like, I was expecting to go surfing, and that wasn't the case. They wanted me to do community service. They wanted me to get a job that wasn't surfing. So for me to be out and looking at the ocean and not being able to surf, it's more of a torture than anything. So had I known that they weren't going to allow me to surf, I would have just said just do all my time in prison. It would have been a lot easier.
All on the same. People can't understand when we start to clean. One hand washes the other in these lonely streets. Watch my back when we roll, cause you know the flow. Planting seeds to grow, ideas, money and soul. Group pump brain sick, enterprise, you know it. Coming straight from the street with raw sounds and beats. Just don't know how the story goes.
I spent 20 years on tour, kind of jaded. You get to a point where you take everything for granted, and after being in prison, I was like, just to come down and see everybody, I was, happy. To actually get out in the water and surf in a contest was, it seemed like it would never come back. The first thing I did when I got on I had McDonald's from the prison, because there was one road that goes out to the freeway, and there's a McDonald's right when you get on the freeway. I was like, I had a McGriddle. Biggest smile on my face. I was like, I want a McGriddle. Oh, Coke. I was so stoked that there's a big thing of Coke. Oh man, they're like simplest things in life. I was so stoked. Even though it was hard going through the whole thing, the whole process, I think that the last 2 years off has made me take a look and get some rest, the rest that I really needed, because I think at that point I was already burnt out. I'm still hungry. I still want to compete, and I still think I can. I still think I can do good. For all you kids, you just gotta make sure you trust the people that are working for you, and to actually watch, to go over things, because nowadays, in surfing, there's so much money that the kids are making that you can't afford to be lazy and let somebody else take care of your bills and stuff. If everybody else can learn from what I've done wrong, then the world would be that much of a better place. So it's all good. It wasn't a real bad experience for me. I was destined to go to jail for something else if I didn't had surfing in my life. So I figured I was pretty blessed. I got to do 20 years on tour, made a whole lot of money, got to see a whole bunch of places, got to meet a whole bunch of really cool people. So, a little bit in jail was the least I could pay for it.